Hey Holly, how you doing today?
I am pretty good. How about yourself, sir?
No complaints. It doesn't do any good to bitch anyway, right?
That's right. Nobody's listening and nobody cares.
No, that's right. Um, I am still waiting for Barn to Door to respond to help us.
Okay.
Uh, I'm actually talking to the president, and I'm trying to get it where we can offer this to farms in our area, not just you. It's kind of
Yeah,
a
of course.
so they're working on that. So hopefully I'll hear something this week. If not, I'll ping them and see what's going on. But I'd like to be able to get a whole bunch of farms to sign up around the state. So it's worth a try. It may not work
Yeah.
out, but it's worth a try.
Yeah. I mean, if you need connections on farms, ones who I think would, possibly one, be able to do it and two, benefit from it, just let me know and I can help you compile at least the eastern side. I mean, I don't know much about Raleigh
Yeah,
westward, but I know for us.
yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I'd like to do that. If we could, what I'm trying to present to them is that there are enough farms in North Carolina that maybe they could work some kind of special deal out for us, even if it's just for a while. It's better than nothing. And I think they're really, really busy. I think they're getting swamped with farms that want to do this. Is the impression I'm getting.
Well, yeah, I
But
mean that's what we've been talking about the whole time. That's kind of the wave of the future and the method people are going to now.
yeah, well, what I like about them more than almost everything else I've seen is they actually have people who can do everything, so that someone like yourself or a typical farmer who is not going to be some kind of wizard on the web, where those services can be done all in one place without a huge amount of money. And that's really what I see the benefit of their program is you get up and running without it costing very much money. And I want to try to use some of our grant dollars to fund it if I can figure that
Oh,
out. Um,
yeah, that'd be great.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
that's
it, yeah. So it was really funny. So after we got off yesterday's call, I had a couple of Facebook notifications that I was responding to, and it was a picture of our jams and jellies, and she and she seriously asked, "Can I buy these online and do y'all ship?" And I was like, and here we are, and it's coming all around full circle now. So I definitely understand the importance of and that's kind of what consumers are looking for is to be able to purchase something online.
well, particularly food. Since the pandemic started, the stats I've seen are 1 out of 3 Americans have purchased food online since the pandemic started. Before that, it was 1 out of 100.
Wow, that's crazy. Do
Yeah,
they categorize food online as like grocery pickup? I'm assuming are they are they grasping that and that dollar figure and that number too, or
I
just
don't
like
know. Yeah, it's a kind of thing where I read the headline, read a couple page, a couple lines, and moved on. So I don't
I
know.
got you.
But my guess is it's probably mostly oriented toward grocery. But there was a fair amount of restaurant related, whether it's ordering online and coming and picking up, or working with one of the delivery companies like Grubhub or whatever, or Uber Eats. I think,
DoorDash, yeah.
yeah, DoorDash. I think there's all kinds of categories. So, what'll happen is academics will start to get with this research over the next, few months, and we'll start to see. But my guess is, like if you look at a place like Raleigh is a good example, and even where I used to live up in DC, there is a fair farms that are within 20 miles of Raleigh.
Yeah,
And
there are a lot.
yeah, and I think a lot of them are selling online. I think that whether it's a CSA or, if you heard that company Produce Box, I think they're called.
Hmm.
Um,
I've seen Misfit Produce or something like that.
yeah, yeah. There's so many, and there's actually a story about one in particular is really phenomenal, and I'll post their little pitch on the Slack channel when I get a chance. But it's
Yeah.
a farmer from Oregon, and what she did was she decided to create a business where she would pay the farmer 70% of what the stuff sold for, and she would keep 30, and the 30 she built a delivery service. So
Okay.
she these hubs where the farmer takes their stuff, and then this woman's company picks the stuff up and delivers it in these little electric vans to consumers. And she started in
Wow.
Portland, Oregon. I think she just started this past March. I mean, very, very soon, recent. And she got up to 2,200 regular customers in about 2 months. So she
Wow.
actually raised over 5 million in venture capital. She's now opened up in Seattle. Next is Austin, then Denver. She's planning to do the whole country. It's called the Milk Run, is the name of the company.
Mm-hmm.
But the farmers love it because they're getting 70%, which is way more than they normally get for distribution. And all she's doing is basically putting it in delivery boxes and putting them in these little vans. People, this is really brilliant. The people she hired to drive the truck are people who worked for the food distributors who used to, like the U.S. Foods and those kind of guys. So they're
Wow.
the ones who are driving her trucks for, because they're used to driving all day long and unloading trucks at restaurants, but the restaurants are, way, way down. So now these same guys are delivering to people's houses.
That's crazy. Yeah, and I mean, just kind of going back to your point earlier that you talked about the whole grocery pickup or the grocery delivery. Obviously, I've utilized it, and I personally, out of the multiple times I've used it, did not have the best of luck when the Food Line or the Walmart shoppers pick the produce out for me. Like
Uh-huh.
my grapes were not very good. My bananas, that's not how I like them. And I feel like that's the opportunity that we could bridge the gap on the produce side of like a delivery box.
Yeah.
Because I mean, freshness matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're dealing with a Walmart stocker who just stocked this stuff. Well, what are they going to grab? They're going to grab the front because it's the oldest. When we all know that we file back to the back of the salad bags and get the freshest one.
Yeah. Well, what this woman did that's really interesting and I think really smart, if she can pull it off, is she has totally bypassed the food distribution network, right? So she doesn't deal with Walmart or anybody. She just deals with the farmers. And the farmers, it's in their own best interest to deliver good stuff to her distribution center or hubs or whatever you call them. And so the farmer and her are aligned. They have the same interest where they want the consumer to get the stuff. The farmer wants the relatively high margin. I don't know about you, but I've never heard of 70% gross margin for a farmer on produce. That's unheard of. But
I think it depends on the crop, honestly.
okay. Well, if you're selling to Walmart, I think it's safe to
Oh,
say you're not going to make 70%. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah, no, not if you're going through a huge distributor like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So, and the other thing that she did that I think is really smart, her website is set up to be more like grocery shopping than it is a produce box, if you will. So if you just want one head of lettuce, you can get one head of lettuce. You don't have to
Hmm.
have, all kinds of stuff you don't want. So you actually shop on the site almost like a grocery store. You want one of this, three of that, two of that, whatever. And they put that in the box for you, and that's what you get. You don't get, like a produce box, which might have half of what's in there you really have no interest in.
Right.
So anyway, well, I want to welcome Roy Mulder here. Roy, I see that you're here. Thank you very much for making your appearance here. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Appreciate you bringing me on.
Yeah, fantastic. We're gonna wait another minute or two. We're kind of a late starting crowd usually, but we'll get some more folks, and then I'll introduce you. And I've made you co-host, so if you have any slides or whatever, you're free to. Hopefully, the controls have shown up on your Zoom, and
Hi.
and you can run your demo. So let's just give it another minute or two.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, I'll be right back with you. Okay, everybody, I'm gonna go ahead and start, and hopefully some other folks will join us as we go. I want to introduce Roy Mulder to you all, and Roy is with a company called Textline, and he's going to give a demo of their customer service oriented product. I want you all to take a look at and maybe think about how it might work in your operation if it makes sense. And please, we'll go through the demo, and then there'll be time for questions, I'm sure. And I'm gonna turn it over to Roy and just kind of fade into the background.
Sounds good. Well, thanks everybody for hopping on with me. Like Dennis said, I'll give you kind of a brief overview of Textline, show you some different ways to utilize it. But this can be very interactive. We've got an hour schedule, which should be plenty of time. But like I said, if you've got a question, something comes up, you want some ideas on customer service in general, we're a very customer experience focused company. So feel free to ask me. But I'll hop right in. Kind of where I want to start is give you a little background on Textline and why we've kind of focused on text message. Can everybody see my screen, by the way?
Yes, sir.
Yep, awesome. I can see it.
Awesome. So Textline, we're a business texting software, of course. The name is very of what we do, and we kind of found this product, found this service, ultimately because we live in a relationship economy. Our founder said, hey, we communicate in our daily lives with our friends and family all through text message. So why aren't businesses doing the same thing? So we went out and found a product, a service, so that businesses can communicate with their customers the same way that they communicate with their friends and family. And when you think about building that relationship economy, it's really important because customers communicate with their wallets. Majority of people will pay more for a better brand experience. Treating somebody like a human is super important when keeping somebody's business. And ultimately, $1.6 trillion a year will switch brands due to customer service. So the big call out here is no longer is your product the big differentiator. No longer is price the big differentiator from separating you from your competitors. It's all about the customer experience. And some of the best companies, old companies, new companies, industry leaders are reinventing their customer experience and building direct relationships with their customers through text message. And the reason is it's simple. It's very easy for anybody to send a text message, whether it be, a 10-year-old that just got a new smartphone or, somebody that's late into their retired years. It's really easy. Everybody texts right now. It's very real time and instantaneous. It takes 2 seconds to send a text. And that's really easy also for you to scale customer service because it's so easy to manage text messages. It's very human. Like we said earlier, this is how we all communicate in our daily lives. We text our friends, we text our parents. And so whenever someone is texting with a business, it feels very human and it's also personalized. You feel like you're building that relationship with a customer. And then it's very anticipatory. And what we mean by that is you can be proactive through text message. You don't have to wait for somebody to say, hey, I have an issue with your product, or, hey, this doesn't fit, or I'd like to cancel, or whatever it may be. You can actually proactively reach out to somebody through text message. Hey, how are you liking that product that you just purchased? And so when we think about all of the different channels for customer service, email, phone, self-serve, chat bots. None of these meet all of the requirements that you should have for customer service. Things like being able to scale, personalize, low effort, and immediate. The only thing that bridges all of those channels is text message. And ultimately, stats are always important when looking, at a new channel or looking at customer service. And the big call out is 90% of customers want to text brands. There's a lot less that are actually offering text message, and this number is continuing to increase, but almost everyone wants to be able to reach out and text customer service with a question. And then when we think about scale, it's much more cost effective than things like phone calls. It costs on average almost $16 per customer service interaction over the phone, when text costs about $1. And then when you think about like your marketing efforts of reaching out, text almost 6x's email when it comes to response rate and open rates. So I hope that gives you kind of a good background on why you should be thinking about using text message for customer service. And I actually want to dive into the product itself. So what does it actually look like from both your customer standpoint and in your standpoint? So this is the text line dashboard. This is where I am sending and receiving messages as a business. So what I'd like to do is just walk through an interaction. So anyone on this call, can you send me a text to this number at the top left, 307-223-4759? I'll just say,
I can.
Okay. Awesome. And all I see is White's Farm. What's your name, by the way?
It's Holly.
Okay. Nice to meet you, Holly. Cool. And actually see Dennis.
Even better. Mr. Dennis beat me. Okay, have at it.
Cool. So I see Dennis just sent me a text, and it pops up over to the left, pops up to the top, and it tells me how long it's actually been waiting. So this is a new interaction. So the first thing I'll do is claim this conversation. That's just assigning it to me. So I know most of you are probably a one-man shop right now, but as you have multiple people that are responding to customers, you can claim it. So we assign ownership. And at this point, all I do is type my message back. Hey there. Oops. Hey there, Dennis. How can I help you?
Hey, Roy, are there ever instances where you have like a canned response that you can just hit like that? How can I help you? Is that something that can be canned?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of these buttons down here to where similar questions. Hey, how can I help you? Or if somebody asks you the same thing over and over again, how do I track my order? Whatever it may be. These are, we call these shortcuts. You just click on this quote button and they're all listed out right here. You could have 10, 100, and you can search for them as well.
Cool.
Okay. So when I click use shortcut, you see it populates that message down at the bottom. And all I need to do is click send at that point. Okay. Now, depending on your product, I'm sure photos come in handy. Dennis, do you mind sending me a quick photo back to that number?
Sure.
And photos will take a couple seconds longer to send because it's bigger, but it still should come in pretty quickly.
I hope I sent it. Did I?
It may take a second, depending on your cell service right there. So it may take photos are pretty big. So whenever you're sending a photo over SMS, it takes a few seconds, but we'll give it a minute or so. While we're waiting on that though, just to confirm, Dennis, this is all on your phone. It looks like a normal text message, right?
Yes.
Cool. So what's really cool about this is you're not having to go open up a chat bot. You're not having to open your email. It's really easy for the customer to just pop open their phone, type in a number, or sometimes have a click to text even to just, hey, I've got a question, and makes it really easy and seamless for them. Now, we'll give it a second for that photo to come in. But as we're waiting on that, if someone needs to get, you have multiple people on text line, and something needs to get escalated to you, I can use internal notes. We call these whispers. And I can mention AJ, for example. AJ's my boss. And I can say, hey, can you help me out with this? This way I can keep this all in this thread. I don't have to go somewhere else. I don't have to email AJ or anything. I just add a whisper in here. AJ gets a notification and then could actually step into this conversation and interact back and forth with the customer himself if it needed to go over to him.
So did my photo ever make it to you?
It didn't. Maybe delayed in transit.
Let me try another one. Maybe that picture was too big or something. Let me try something smaller. Okay. I don't know.
Does it show sent on your phone, or does it show still like?
No, it shows sent.
Okay.
But I have terrible cell service where I live, so it could easily be. I live on a farm also, and it's I'm lucky if I have one bar.
Okay, that's it then. Whoever your carrier is it's going to take a little while to send, so it could be 15, 20 minutes, just depending on how bad the service is out there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe someone else can send someone with who lives in civilization can send a photo.
Yeah, if one of y'all have good service, and you mind sending me a text to this number at the top left, 307-223-4759. And I usually have good. Cool. So I see Copper Ashes. Cool. That one just sent. And then I think, yep. And then Dennis also, your photo just came in.
Yeah.
Cool. So there you can, if somebody has a product issue, for example, you can click on it, get a little better insight into what's going on. In Copper Ashes, I'll send you a quick text back too. Just claim it again. And then I'll send you, hey there, thanks for contacting us. How can I help you? So really easy just to click in and out of different conversations. I can go 1, 2. Usually we see customer experience organizations able to handle about 10 to 15 text conversations at one time. And so in this scenario, I've got a photo. I may know exactly what's wrong with the product. And then I'll just type another message back. Great, we will get this taken care of for you. And then once I've actually resolved this customer's question, helped them out, whatever needed to take place, I can come up here and resolve it. Resolving will close this conversation out. I have the option to disposition it to say, what was this text message thread about? I click resolve, and then it grays it out over here, letting me know that this has been taken care of. This interaction is closed. I can just work on the ones that are still open. Any questions so far?
Is it commonplace to have issues with people that are texting from a cell phone because it's not as good as, say, internet connection that they might have?
You say, are you asking if customers often struggle to text because they have a poor internet connection?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Not if a customer has poor internet connection or poor connection overall, texting is usually going to be the easiest route for them. It may take a little bit longer than normal.
Yeah.
But it's much easier because if you have poor phone connection, you're going to be breaking up. You're never really going to figure out what they're actually asking. While
Right.
if you send copper ashes, for example, well, it may take a minute or so longer to send. It's not like this message is going to be jumbled up.
I got you.
And then
That
same
makes
thing. Yeah. And then same thing with email. If you have poor service, email is going to take much longer. And then typically email is much longer to respond to.
Yeah.
So a lot of organizations, if you go see, they'll say, hey, our email response time is like 24 hours or 48 hours. Most of our customers, especially in the e-commerce space, their SLA for text message response is usually under 10 minutes.
When you say SLA, do you have service level agreements that guarantee a certain response time, or is that just terminology?
Well, for us, I mean, we're providing the service, so we have SLAs for like things like uptime and things like that. But
yeah,
for our customers, they dictate their own SLAs. Some are 5 minutes. We have one that's actually 3 minutes. Now they set this with our customer, or they set this internally. You know, if I go buy something from Stuart Weitzman, which is a customer of ours, if I were to buy something from them, which I never probably would, but if I were, I don't somewhere have an agreement that if I reach out to them over text message that they're going to respond to me with under 10 minutes. But whenever they bring on new agents, that's their internal SLA. Hey, you need to be responding to text messages in under 10 minutes. And they don't have issues with that because, like I said, you can handle 10, 15 interactions at a time.
Okay. It's like the person at the drive-in at McDonald's, right? Who's on a busy day.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And you can use this somewhat as a task manager too. Hey, you know, Roy texts me, all right, I resolve it. And then you can filter by just my unresolved conversations. And that way things start to filter out as I actually take care of them.
Okay.
Cool. Now, it's really easy to also follow up with customers. So let's say, hey, somebody's interested in a product, but they're not sure. You know, hey, I don't know if I want to buy this new mattress, or I don't know if I want to buy this new X, whatever it is. Using this somewhat as a sales aspect as well. You can actually schedule follow-up messages to a customer as well. So I click more actions and schedule a message, and I'll just say, hey there, you know, are you still interested? What's nice is, you know, let's say somebody needed the receipt and they couldn't find their receipt. You could just automate that follow-up process instead of just waiting for them. Go ahead and schedule that message to really create a good experience for them overall. And then over here on the right-hand side, this is the contact information. So I can just update this over here, you know, names. I can say Copper Ashes, for example. And I can include additional fields here, you know, email, date of birth, favorite color, whatever information that I want to include on a contact, I can include that over here. And from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dennis, but a lot of you are building kind of your e-commerce platform off of Shopify. We integrate with Shopify, which you would have over here a tab that shows Shopify, and their order information would be pulled in automatically into TextLine. Yeah,
most of the teams use Shopify as their e-commerce platform, so that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yep. So when I updated this name to Copper Ashes, this would automatically be pulled in from Shopify. And again, the orders information would show there, which I could just click on it. It opens that up. I don't have to actually ask the customer for their order information.
So this integration is service that Shopify offers. Is there a cost for this integration?
When you said Shopify, what? I'm sorry.
Is there a cost to get this integration with Shopify, or is that built in?
That's built into the plan itself. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, and it's just a couple clicks to integrate. It only takes a few seconds.
Cool.
Now, I don't know if there's a different plans on Shopify that only allow integrations, but not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost anything to add them on, but it's usually like certain plans allow integrations.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then I can also categorize my customers as well. So I can start to say, all right, hey, this is a high dollar customer, VIP. I can categorize it as VIP. That way I can make sure to handle these customers with extra care. So I'll dive in and show you a little bit of some of the admin tools and some of the proactive outreach. But as far as a customer service tool, anyone have any questions on how to use it, best practices, anything like that?
Hey, Sawyer,
Okay.
I'm just going to ask a couple of people. Hey, Sawyer, do you have to deal with customers in this way in your business?
No, sir. I do not have any text message stuff like that set up.
No, but I mean, in terms of inbound customer requests, I understand you don't have the text platform, but is this is something that you do with customers, whether it's following up on a shipment or maybe it's a time for a reorder? Is that stuff you do generally?
Generally, just through like email, stuff like that, and then a lot of direct messaging through Instagram, just kind of following up with customers.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
used to
If I understand your question correctly.
Yeah, I'm just you get from customers that you've sold product to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what form does that take, and is that easy to do, hard to do in the way you're doing it now? I'm just curious, really.
It could probably definitely be easier.
Yeah.
Are all of you primarily direct to consumer?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And sorry, what is, if you don't mind, what is your product? What are you typically selling?
So I sell a lot of pre-workout and post-workout, like essential amino acids, but
Mm-hmm.
mainly pre-workout.
Okay.
And kind of supplements. I think of it as supplements.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And when it comes to supplement, you mentioned like email and Instagram. So are people asking, like reaching out to you often first, like, hey, where's my order? Or like you mentioned, like, can I reorder or something like that? What are the typical questions?
Not so much like where's my order because, it's automated to send them a tracking number, stuff like that. And it typically takes, anywhere from 1 to 3 days to arrive to them. So they're not really, losing their cool over where their order is.
Yeah.
But, I do kind of follow up with people, especially new customers. Hey, how did you like it? Stuff like that. And I always put like a business card in the package just to new customers that will have a 20% off code. So if they do like it, then they'll more than likely reorder.
Cool. And when you mentioned you're proactive with them and saying, hey, how do you like it? How do you do that? Is that over email?
Very rarely do I email. It's typically over Instagram.
Okay. Do you do a lot of advertising on Instagram? Okay.
Organically, yeah. I've ran Facebook ads, stuff like that, but 99% of my stuff's organic.
Okay, got it. Yeah, and so something like you mentioned, like that over Instagram, reaching out, hey, how do you like it? Obviously, social media is a good way to engage with folks. Text message is another way to do that. And
right, just adding that personal touch to it.
Mm-hmm. And I'll also show you how to scale it a little bit. You could do something like that in mass. A lot of our e-commerce companies, direct to consumer, are very proactive on getting feedback from their customers. Hey, how did you like it? And then using that as an upsell opportunity. So, you may sell, I don't know exactly what you sell, but let's just say you sell whey protein. Like, hey, how did you like it? And like, oh, this was awesome. And then you could say, oh, cool. Did you also know we sell, amino acids or something like that? A good way to kind of upsell to something else.
And that would be a good point to where, oh, awesome. You do like it. Do you mind giving it a review? And you can just directly send them the link to give it a review.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'll show you surveys here in a second, but you can send customer surveys. What about some of the rest of y'all? Ann, Ashley, Darby, or Holly? Do any of you mind giving me like a little background on your company?
I just use Shopify mostly. Yeah, Shopify mostly, and sell directly to consumer and everything with crystals and jewelry and stuff like that. I don't have any kind of text line thing or anything like this in my Shopify. I do have like a text bot where people can go on there and text questions. Of course, like it's an automated response sometimes, and I'll have to get back to it when I can, kind of like an email. But they did have like an option on there. I can't remember exactly what I use, but if they like type in if the customer types in a phone number, then whenever I send a message back, it directly goes to them as a text message. But other than that, I've not really used anything like this before.
Okay, got it. Thanks. Well, with that in mind, let's kind of dive into a couple other tools. So one is, I imagine you're probably not responding to customers all the time. So if somebody sends you a text, you can set up autoresponders if somebody texts you, let's say, late at night. So customer gets an order, they have a question, they want to reorder, and it's 10 o'clock at night. You could set up an out of office text message that says, anytime somebody sends you a text outside of normal business hours, let's say it's 5 a.m. to 8 p.m., you're working long hours, but somebody texts you outside of that, automatically send them a text back that says, hey, thanks for your message. Our hours are Monday to Friday. We'll get back to you as soon as we're in the office. It's a really easy way to set expectations with customers. Now, when we dive, go ahead, Dennis.
I love that. I think it's, especially if you're just, a 1 or 2 person operation, and you're saying, like in Ashley's case, she actually sells, I believe, in all 50 states in the United States, and she's mostly operating by herself. So, there's got to be lots of times when she just physically can't get to an inquiry or a message. So it just makes a lot of sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you never want to leave somebody just hanging, no response. Just set the expectations, and they're good to go. Now, as far as being proactive, when we talk about, hey, how did you like, the product or whatever it may be, we call these announcements. Announcements are a way to send the same text to a group of people. The main way direct-to-consumer companies use this is either getting feedback, hey, how did you like the product, and using it as an upsell opportunity, or you've got a shipment delay. If something happened with the warehouse or your partner and you're not going to be able to get things out for a couple of days later, go ahead and let customers know, hey, we're going to be a couple of days late. That way, they don't just reach out to you, hey, where's my order? And it creates a really good experience for them. So to do this, I just go to my phone number, I click new announcement, and then I just type the message in here. First, I need to title it. Title is just internal. So I'll just say 9:30 delay. And then I type my message there. Hi there. Our orders are slightly delayed due to, we've had some organizations due to the tropical storm. We hope to get it out to you ASAP. Okay, I just type my message here. And then I click next, and then here I choose who I'm going to send it to. So there's a few different ways you can do this. Manually enter the phone numbers in. Wouldn't recommend that. You could tag certain people, so like your VIP if you want to send them specific text. Or if you just download a list and upload a CSV file, I can drag and drop that CSV file here. In this scenario, I'm just going to type in my phone number just manually to get to the next step. But easiest way usually is that upload CSV where you can send it to 100 people all at once. Then I progress to the next page. Typically, I just click next on this page. You can kind of run some metrics off of the effectiveness of your announcement. But most of the time, you're just going straight to the next page, and then you schedule the announcement, which you could either do right now. So I need to get this out immediately, or if I want to schedule this out in advance for maybe tomorrow or even next week. And then I click preview, make sure I've got everything correct, and then check this box that says, hey, I'm not going to spam anybody, and then send. And then it would send to everybody in that list. So I could send the text to 100, 500 people all at one time. Does that seem like it would be helpful for any of y'all? Oh, I'll take the silence as a...
Yeah, I think it could be helpful. It's
Thanks,
convenient. Sorry. It's convenient for people. I mean, people are on their phones 24/7, and I don't have notifications, when emails come, when Instagram messages come. I don't do any notifications whatsoever other than text messages and phone calls. Mm-hmm. So I would actually get that.
Yep. And I think you may have hopped in right before, but we showed text messages are opened 98% of the time, and most are within 3 minutes. Emails are opened about 20% of the time.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is depends on your customer base, right? I think if your customers skew what I'm going to call younger because I'm old, I think they're much more likely to respond to text if they're anything like my kids. Or if it's old codgers like me, you might have a little bit better luck with an email. But still text is, for me, is preferable because it's just not as involved. I also, a lot of people have several email accounts. They might have a work and a personal, et cetera. Whereas they, generally speaking, only use one text account. So that helps also.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring that up. That's something that I originally thought too, but it actually shows across the board, regardless of age group, texting has by far the highest reply rate and is the preference of every single age group, no matter if you're talking, of course, they're not going to report 10 and under, but you're talking, teenagers to people 70 plus. Text message outweighs every single channel when it comes to customer service as the preference.
Yeah. I think personally, to me, a text message is much more transactional than an email or a social media posting. It has a particular reason, and there's usually a relatively fast resolution. Well, where's my order? Or, it got lost or whatever. All that stuff is resolved fairly quickly. Whereas some of the other mediums might be more conversational, more involved, might be communicating things other than the transactional details. That's my general thought. I don't know if that's true, but that's how it strikes me.
Yeah, you're right. Typically, text message will eat into just about every single channel. It typically eats into phone calls and emails more than anything. And oftentimes, I don't know of any companies that have just gone away with email entirely, but they've pretty much said, all right, we don't really email anymore. We just text and phone call, because there are some interactions that are much more complex that need to take place over a phone call. Yeah. But usually you would see a huge chunk of conversations are over text message, huge percentage. And then there's a select few that are over phone call because they have to take place over a phone call. But you're right, especially for those transactional knockout questions. Hey, where's my order? Hey, I need a refund. I need a replacement, whatever it may be. Have those over text message, and then you can resolve those type of conversations in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. The last thing I'll kind of wrap it up with, especially since you mentioned Sawyer around like getting reviews and surveys, you can send surveys over text message. And there's a couple different ones that we have. Are y'all familiar with NPS?
I'm not.
So NPS tracks how basically loyal someone is to a particular brand. It's a very standard question. And it basically asks, how likely are you to recommend your product, your company, to a friend from 0 to 10? This is a standardized across the board. No matter what company you're working with, NPS always asks this question. So you can say things like, thanks for being a customer. How likely are you to recommend Accenture to a friend from 0 to 10? And this can be done all through text. And somebody replies back with a number. Let's say 9, for example. 9 is considered a promoter. That's somebody that's out there saying, hey, we love this brand. Then you can ask, hey, tell us a bit more why you chose that number. Customer respond back. And then you can set up different responses based off of their score. So if somebody is a promoter, which is a 9 or a 10, it's a great opportunity to say, hey, great. Would you mind leaving us a review? Send them a link, and then they can write a review somewhere. Somebody that's passive, so a 7 or 8, just say, hey, thanks for your feedback. And those detractors, which is 6 or below, just ask them, hey, is there anything that we could do better? Or, how can we help improve this? Something along those lines to try to turn those detractors into at least passives and eventually promoters.
What I like about this from, some of the stuff that we've been learning in this class and knowledge just in general, reviews are really important. And, to many people, especially if they're not familiar with your brand, one of the first things they'll do is look for reviews from other customers to give them a sense, whether that's a good idea or not for them to get involved. So I think anything that promotes reviews from the early stages of these companies, I think is very helpful.
Yeah. Absolutely. Everybody either looks at reviews or asks somebody they know if they've used the product before. And reviews is usually the easiest way to do that. Just Google the
Yeah.
product, see what comes up. Oh, they've got good reviews. I'll buy this. And then the other surveys that we have are CSAT. Now, this isn't utilized as much as the NPS. NPS is very widely adopted, but CSAT is just asking about interactions with a company. So the way you can set this up is, hey, how was your, thanks for contacting us. How was your recent conversation with your company? And then they give you a score of 1 to 5. And then you can also ask, how was your agent from 1 to 5? And then is there anything they can do to improve? So similar to NPS, but this is more geared towards your overall interactions with a customer, especially as you start to grow. You add a customer service team, you can start to see how is your customer service team doing overall.
When you refer to these acronyms like NPS, are these outside services that you had to subscribe to, or is it built into your system?
These are built into our system. We built NPS, which stands for Net Promoter Score, and CSAT, which is customer satisfaction. We built these within the tool itself. There are like outside CSAT and NPS tools.
Okay.
But we built these into our product.
Great.
Okay. So these are majority of the things that I wanted to show you. Also, this is what the direct-to-consumer companies that we work with are primarily using. The conversations, announcements, surveys. What questions do y'all have for me?
Well, while the group is thinking about that, I have a question for you, Roy,
Sure.
a more general question. Is there an activity level, a revenue level where you recommend that people start considering a tool like this? When you're a startup, it's one thing. When you've been going for a while, it might be, something different. Do you have any general feeling about that?
There's not necessarily a level. Well, I've implemented a few customers that they aren't even started to sell their product yet. Now that may be a little early, but you have to think about how are we going to build our customer service organization? And the first thing to do is implement text message, because email just isn't scalable and you need to build personal relationship with your customers. So it could be immediate. Now we're working with some larger organizations that haven't been using text messages and they need to implement it. But I mean, as soon as you start to sell your product is a good opportunity to implement text message. The big thing to think about is what challenges are you facing right now? Do you have too many customer service interactions? Is it taking you too long to respond to customer service interactions? Are customers frustrated with your customer service? If any of those resonate with you, then it's a good time to start thinking about text message. Now, that's kind of a problem that you're inheriting initially, but then you've got to think about missed opportunities. Are we reaching out to customers and getting feedback from them? Are we seeing how they like our product? Are we showing them new products that we're offering? Those are other ways to use text message that you should also be thinking about. And I hope that answers your question, but overall, it's usually emails the first one, because you always have at least a Gmail, which costs you nothing, of course. But then the next aspect is, what other channel are we going to offer? And text message is usually the cheapest and most effective to go, instead of implementing like a phone call or phone solution. And then everybody thinks about, I'll throw another channel out there. A lot of people think about live chat nowadays. Live chat isn't adopted very much. It's usually about 5% or less than 5% of an organization's overall customer service interaction. Usually text counts for about 33 to 40%.
Is that, would you say, true across some categories that lend itself to live chat versus text, or you think it's generally applicable?
Sorry, you broke up there just a tad. Is that true across all
verticals, all types of companies? Well, like for example, I would think a tech company, if somebody's trying to implement some kind of technical product, they might like a live chat because they're working on something and they want to get the help right now. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Is that the case?
That's a great question. It is. This is mostly true across direct to consumer type companies. B2B, okay. Like we work with a few B2B companies, but it's pretty rare. At least in customer service. Like we work with some sales teams in B2B, but customer service is pretty rare to use text message unless you're a one-to-many, which would be like a company that supports small businesses, especially restaurants, because restaurant folks aren't at a computer. But like for me, I'm sure you're familiar with Salesforce, for example. Like if I were to contact Salesforce, I would never do it over text message because they're a large enterprise software platform. It's going to be more complex. That's when I would gear more towards a live chat or probably a phone call or even email. But I'm on a computer at that point. When I order something from, Amazon, for example, like I would prefer to contact them over text message because I'm on my phone when I'm doing that. Mm-hmm.
Anybody have questions or thoughts for Roy? I'm going to ask Ann Jones. Ann, you're kind of maybe more B2B than some of the others on here. How does this strike you based on your experiences?
Well, for our major customers, I don't think it applies because we do have account managers and it drives us. We have to have immediate action because it's usually a big issue if we have comments coming back. But we are venturing out to some other avenues, part of our new business, and also some more B2C opportunities with our traditional AccuLink business. And this is very appealing because we don't typically have live customer service. So how would we apply this to that need is something I think we'll have to explore.
Yeah, I think it gives you a competitive advantage because likely the people that you're competing with in your space would not have this capability, I would think.
Not for the major suppliers, no. I think for the new ventures, most definitely an option.
Yeah.
And okay. Do you mind? What is your business? Do you mind giving me like a quick overview?
Yeah, we are a supplier to major e-commerce companies for personalized print and gift, like the photo mugs, personalized greeting cards, invitations, and so forth. So we're supplying to the big e-commerce companies. But we do have a couple of small ventures where we're looking to figure out how can we better serve a local market or some of the items that we specialize in and offer that to the public.
And you said the e-commerce companies that you work with, you have account managers that work with them directly, so kind of like a relationship that they have.
We do, and we don't interact with end users or end consumers for our major customers.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. And not to say, hey, that you should use TextLine this way or by any means, but some companies, like their account managers, will use TextLine because I would imagine your account managers, depending on their interactions, are probably texting from their personal phones with them just to build that relationship. That would be my guess. Now,
with how we are set up and the customers that we have, it's pretty much email and it's more of a phone call because it's, hey,
sure.
There's an issue. You need to address it now. So it's very, very direct.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. And I was going to say, even then, it's hard to get those type of account managers, if they are texting from their cell phone, it's hard to get them to move away from that, which they don't necessarily need to. There's not a big pain there. But that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. Any other questions We'll put Roy's contact information in the Slack channel so that you can connect with him directly. Should you have any questions. And Roy, this is fascinating. What'll happen is we have a number of companies that will end up watching this, the recording tonight because of work complications or whatever. So there may well be some more questions, but I think it's a wonderful system. And I encourage everybody here to find out more about how it might apply to their company.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, appreciate that. And yeah, Dennis, share my information. If anybody has any questions, reach out to me. We also, and if anybody has like questions about how it's priced, you can reach out to me. And then we also do trials too, free trials, so you can test it out, see how it would work before you make any decisions on something like this. So happy to help in any way I can.
Great. Thanks, Roy. Really appreciate it. And we'll see everyone tomorrow. Same time, same station.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.